Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mortgage Heroes Weekly Podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Brian.
And I'm I'm Will.
All right. Well, yeah, you guys can join with us in the fun. Merry Christmas, everybody. We hope you are having a wonderful Christmas day.
Merry Christmas.
We wanted to come to you on Christmas morning a little more festive than normal. We're always, in our Mortgage Heroes gear or whatever. But hey, what's Christmas Day without an ugly sweater? What
do you mean? The sweater's not ugly.
Oh,
and
no, this is pretty ugly.
Like
this
half
is,
Grinch, half...
Yeah, this is doing it, man.
Anyways, I'm Jingle.
I like your sign. That's pretty cool.
Why not, Some people wear it's all gold. This time around, it's just all Jingle.
I like that. That's pretty cool. You do tend to make a lot of noise, so I like that.
Yeah. I wish it was just flickering lights right now.
Well,
next time.
It's nice. Thanks for joining the fun, guys. Wanted to have a little more of a festive show here. So not only is it Christmas Day, but also this is going to be our final show for 2024. So we'll come back to that a little bit at the end. But let's kind of handle the business as usual first, and then we'll get back to some other things.
What's
Sound
all
good?
that jingle?
Oh.
There
I'm
it is.
so excited for the last show of the year. Woo!
Oh my God, that is an ugly sweater.
This thing, you can't be sneaking up on anybody in this thing.
Well, I mean, hey guys, what do you guys think? Is Uncle Andy actually wearing an ugly sweater, or is it something you'd wear?
Someone else is like, that's cute. I'm like, no, not for like a Saturday cute. You mean like it's cute for an ugly Christmas sweater party? So and maybe not even then.
Runner up.
All right, yeah.
Runner up. Hey, what does yours say?
Says tallest elf.
World's tallest elf. All right. Yeah.
I read it backwards.
Know your role. All right. So, all right, guys, let's get right to this. I want to cover this pretty swiftly today. We got November home sales surged more than expected, boosted by lower mortgage rates. Now, right out of the gate, okay, this was actually a pretty quick little window boosted by mortgage rates because then bang, they like whipped right back again. I'm going to have to keep my arms still, by the way, because they're making too much noise. I can hear them as I'm talking. So, sales of previously owned homes rose 4.8% in November compared to October, and that puts us at a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 4.15 million units, which is substantially higher than 2023, and I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
This gives us great momentum into the end of the year, and I am very pleased to hear about this. This is a good one for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. And well, we already know, we talked about this in the last podcast. It's 5 million to 5.5 million. Actually, 5 to 6 million homes is what the standard typical, market. So we're just almost a million homes shy.
Below it, but we're substantially better off than we were in 2023.
Absolutely.
So that's a good sign for me. I know we kind of talked a lot about some optimistic things coming up in the new year, or at least I was personally saying I was optimistic about it. This kind of helps me kind of seal that a little bit more, that we're carrying momentum into 2025 rather than like a normal new year thawing out period where, January, people are kind of thinking about it. February, people start stretching. And then March, you're like, I think I want to buy a house this year. Yeah. I think this is an indication that some of that's already started.
What's pretty crazy, sorry about that, but what's pretty crazy is it is only 6.1% more homes sold this time of year than last year, but you felt like there was more optimism in the market, in the real estate market, which is phenomenal. And that's a small, you're talking about just a single digit, change. So that's drastic.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. Like more buyers, it did feel like more buyers were, in the market. We had a lot more active activity this year than the previous last year's. And I think it's only going to carry into the next year because of the momentum. And then also I think people are now getting conditioned and used to rates being in the levels that they are. Yep. And we did see a little dip last year. And I think that's what people are going to be on the lookout for, for those good weeks that, prices do drop. You get a dip in the rate and you're able to lock something in. So I think that's going to be something that we see.
I do like how the article stated right here, mortgage rates have fallen to an 18-month low in September, but then shot higher in October. So here we go again. And we're high, guys. We're in that 6-7 range.
Yeah, and it even references here that new normal. And again, we had talked about some of the pacing and the projection that's happening, and I'll say just the behavioral conditioning that we're doing. Not we're doing, but I'm saying we as like an industry, because you have like the Fed talking about it, you got talking heads on TV talking about it, people in real estate and mortgage like, oh yeah, 6 to 7, this is like a normal da da da. And then anytime, here's a clue to most of you. anytime you hear them say, well, on average for the last 40 years, rates have been 7.5.
Yeah.
Whenever they're trying to like sling that at you and sell you on that means they're trying to get you primed and ready that we're just going to be in this new normal. And they use that same term in this article.
Absolutely. The average medium sales price of a home, it wasn't 406, 415, either.
Like 60,
exactly.
30.
So that makes a huge difference.
Depends on how far back you go, right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So just a small cautionary tale word of warning for this Christmas day. Whenever you see the words new normal and telling consumers that they should expect 6 to 7, well, that's what they're getting you ready for.
That's right. The new norm.
Long gone are the days of the 2s and 3s of fixed 30-year loans. That's so funny to say that still, but much more pleased about this looking into the new year than I think how the year started. I mean, I think we're always a little optimistic at the beginning of the year, but then like some of the way the spring turned out a little cooler than we expected as far as like activity. And then like the summer was like kind of chill too. And then we started talking like, oh shoot, I think the summer is actually happening in the fall.
Yeah.
This is I think confirmation of that too.
Yeah, I know it's a very different market for sure. It's very convenient to start the new year being very positive, right? That's where we get our New Year's resolutions. We want new change because we were tired of whatever happened in that last year, right? So anything better in creating that momentum in the start of the year is always a good way to start it. So even things may not start as quick, because I know for me, January and February were not the typical years that we had the years prior to, right? But mentally, I'm going to put myself like, hey, January, February are going to be the best jingle years, right? This way to start the year, but that may not be necessarily the case. Just like anything we do in life, you have to go out there and search. You have to go out there and adapt to your new environment. How you're going to go out there hunting is not going to be the same way you're going to hunt in the winter like you were in the summer, stuff like that you have to kind of implement into your new life.
So what you're saying is you're not going to jingle part of the way. You're going to jingle all the way. Okay,
that's right.
Got it.
Exactly.
So thanks for letting me slide that in there, Brian. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I made an observation right here where it said sales home price over 1 million surged to 24.5% from November of last year. And one of the things that I did see is that, I feel that a lot of people started buying those, price houses because in a couple of years, they won't be $1 million. It'll be, a lot more. And then what I also saw is that people, tend to go into these investments or property looking at it for a future play, whether they're going to, add units, add square footage. And I think that, prompted a lot of houses that were over $1 million to get sold. That, and I mean, just wherever you are, some houses are going to be priced at. But a lot of multi-unit homes were sold. And I feel a lot more people are having that appetite. So I feel that's something that we can expect more to come.
Yeah. It is very interesting to me. I'm glad you brought that point up because sales of homes priced over $1 million surged 24.5%. That's a very substantial number given the affordability crunch that we've also been talking about. So hold on a second. What do you mean rates have been elevated? They've stayed there. And also sales of homes over $1 million have surged 24.5%. That's pretty crazy. And that's year over year. So that's November of 2023 to November of 2024. Now, I understand that if you're looking back at 2023, that was kind of the highs. That October that preceded that November was the highest that we'd seen in 20-something years for fixed rates since the early 2000s. So it kind of makes sense that there's that surge. So part of that is just the doing math stuff. And part of that, I honestly think, is people overcoming the affordability issues.
No, it's just crazy. I mean, it's good to see that the luxury market just went up by 24%. But nowadays, I mean, you're looking at $1 million home. It does not look like the typical $1 million home. Like when I was watching the Leave It to Beaver, right? I mean, you can tell what $1 million home looked like. That's when I believe the people that struck oil from Texas, I forget what that show was.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
There you go.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
That house they moved
into. Look at
his
blank stare face right now. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. That
TV was in black and white. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but my point, Andy, is
you weren't streaming?
Okay. I'll let you guys know. No worries.
Go.
Because it is funny that you won't understand it, but
I'm listening though.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hearing. Look, hey guys, my eyes not doodly here. I want to know.
Yeah, but my point was $1 million homes look like $1 million not nowadays.
They have the circle drive and a big fountain, maybe some statues, maybe the lions on the gate, right when you come in the driveway, something like that. Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
No, this is, I think, great for moving into the new year. Obviously, a sales surge is indicative of what is happening underneath the surface.
Yeah.
People who have maybe been fed up waiting are like, fine, you know what? I'm just gonna have to do this. People who are now economically able to buy, and look, I don't want it to go past us all here and us people watching. Like $1 million is still a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Let's not pretend like $1 million now is still $100,000. It has completely changed.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that there's such a higher density of homes that are just priced at now that we would call regular suburban homes in these high cost metro areas like San Diego and LA and San Francisco and Miami and the list goes on and on. So
I mean, it's like a $7,000 payment now.
I know it's like you choke hearing
It's like
that
a
number.
salary.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is some people's like monthly salary.
Yeah.
Like, well, they're got to have both people working all the time and make that house payment. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to get to the end of the show, so let's go to the next article. Ready? Go.
Yes,
Next
sir.
article, guys. Next article here is from Housing Wire. Powell's remarks shoot mortgage rates higher. Okay, so last week, Jerome Powell and the Fed reduced their overnight interest rate by 0.25%, which mostly everyone was kind of expecting. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about whether the Fed does or doesn't do this. It'll both tell us something. If they flinch and they pause, that tells us something.
Yeah.
And if they don't flinch and they kind of put their heels in the ground and go, no one's going to tell us what to do, we're going to reduce rates, well, it tells us something, too, about their attitude or maybe what the data's telling them.
Yeah.
So, right away, mortgage rates skyrocketed. Womp, womp. That was
It was
real
I
bad.
mean, the 10-year took a huge hit on that.
Yeah.
And just so we all know, the Fed doesn't reduce the mortgage rates. It has some type of impact, but remember, the Fed reducing the rates is only impacting like credit cards, the way the banks borrow money from the federal government. What would be another one? Car loans would be another one. But it doesn't have a drastic impact in the actual mortgages. So that's one thing to understand, because I had a lot of clients, hey, they reduced the Fed. And that day, luckily I had a client, I text them how many basis points it dropped. And I think at the midday, I was like at 41% drop. That's almost 50, a half a percent higher for that rate you were able to get in the morning.
So I'm going to use an analogy that you don't know I'm going to use. I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now on the show. And this is Memo and I at our family Christmas party in a shared sweater, a Siamese sweater. This is what mortgage rates and the Fed is like.
Yeah.
They are not actually connected like Siamese twins, meaning you go where I go. But they are close enough that if you're kind of in that same container, that sweater, if I'm going left and he's trying to go right, there's going to be a struggle. And it's kind of better off we go together. And mortgage rates and the 10-year yield are pretty much like that.
Exactly.
So there you go. And thanks for sharing the sweater with me so we could take some pictures with family. That was pretty fun.
funny.
No, I don't think anyone was
funny.
expecting that.
You know.
Sorry, go ahead.
So also the down, it says right here, the actual down was also overturned by 1,000 points that day.
Oh,
So
the Dow took a nosedive, bro.
you know, and before it used to be the reverse, right? If interest rates went higher, the stock market did much better. But nowadays it's like it's hard to even understand that.
Nothing correlates.
Stuff that used to correlate doesn't seem like it's correlating, or it has a brand new correlation. You're like, wait a minute, how come that's the way it is now?
Yeah.
And this has been talked about in other conversations I kind of follow in economic space and monetary space. Is like, well, okay, the markets are all going up. Also, gold is going up. Bitcoin is going up. Like, is everything a safe haven now? Real estate prices are going up. It's like, okay, is everything a safe haven? I don't argue that they are, but they're kind of all acting like they are. If stocks are all going up and Bitcoin and you have gold going up and you have housing and real estate, it's like something is going to have to be the stabilizer there. It can't be all those things.
And here it goes again. It's all the influence that a person may have, right? Like Jerome Powell is the most influential man in the world. That guy
It's not
just
the Dos Equis guy?
seems, besides him, he's the most interesting man.
Oh, that's
This guy's the
right,
most influential, right? Very different. Two different people. But no, we're good. We get it. But yeah, if that guy just seems nervous of anything, the market reacts to that, which is crazy. And it specifies right here, Powell didn't seem very confident while answering some questions about inflation and the labor market. As soon as he just kind of hesitates with something, the market already can predict what's going to happen. So they adjust immediately.
What's so interesting about that is they go in there with their prepared notes and they go in there with their, if I get asked this question, I'm going to answer this way. But it's like, what that can't change? Your body language.
Exactly.
You have to act a certain way to cover up your natural body language when you're addressing some of these questions people had especially about inflation and the labor market. And these things are housing and mortgage related because they impact those things directly.
Yeah.
These are not indirect forces. When you're talking about affordability, people that can or cannot get qualified for a mortgage, inflation hurts people. Their jobs can help them and if they're qualifying. And if you don't have a job, guess what?
Yeah.
You ain't qualifying.
You ain't qualifying.
So
you ain't getting it.
These are kind of inextricably linked to the housing market. And if you show that you're uncertain and you're kind of unsure and you can't cover that up enough, then people are going to see you flinch. And then now all of a sudden the markets have this reaction.
And although here's the, number 2, it says the Fed raises its inflation forecast to 2.5 PCE for 2025. 2 years ago, achieving this would have seemed like a miracle, right? Because their whole goal's always been, I want to get it to 2%.
Yep.
Now it seems like, okay, we're getting comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Even though it seemed like a miracle, I still see that when I go to the store, when the consumer goes to the store, we're still paying the same price, if not higher, than when we started, when inflation was, that 4 or 5%. So I don't get it. Is that the new norm? Is that what we're talking about the previous time, that the new norm with rates, is that going to be our new norm?
I love your preparation because literally on that same point, I wrote the following. After it ran red hot for back-to-back years, never making a retreat. This is the issue. So you can say, hey, we're going to get to 2%, we're going to get to 2.5%. But the years it was like at 9, it never retreated.
Yeah.
So I'm going to correlate this to weight. Since it's Christmas Day, I might be eating a lot right now as you're watching this. So if I'm 200 pounds when I start the month, and then I go up to 209, and then I go to 211, and then 212, I'm still gaining in total weight, even though it's slowed in the rate of the gain. This is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
So them saying, oh, we're going to go back to 2.5%. That's fine. When it was at 9, we didn't go negative to retreat at all. We went to 9, stayed there, and now we're like, oh, we're going to go 2.5, and we're 2.5 more, and we're still going to be facing an uphill battle.
Yeah,
is my bottom line gripe.
Yeah,
I guess I should be more merry. It's Merry Christmas, guys.
Well, I know, but it's because it's hard, right? We used to have the dollar menu at McDonald's.
Oh, here we go. All right,
yeah, here we
go. The dollar
go.
menu at McDonald's.
It's coming.
All
back
right, and then the torta is going to come up next.
Yeah. And here it is, right? The torta, everything else. But we don't see that anymore. And now even McDonald's, we saw an article where McDonald's or fast food is considered a luxury now.
I know. So isn't that crazy?
I want to bring that because this correlates with all of that we're seeing there. If our inflation has miraculously gone down all the way to 2.5, well, why is everything still so expensive? Yeah. Why are we considering that, going out to a fast food is considered luxury? How is that? I thought going to Ruth Chris was luxury, right?
What is that now?
This is all because of rate of acceleration, not direction of acceleration, or deceleration. So anytime there's a plus in front of that sign, or in this case, it just says 2.5. There's no plus sign. That also means there's no negative. So if there's a vacancy, then it's a plus. And if it's negative, then we'll actually be in a deflationary situation where I started at 200 and went to 209. Maybe I retreated back to 204. Then I'm losing weight in this example.
Well, we haven't. We've just been slightly growing.
This is a direct correlation to the same thing we talk about when it comes to house prices.
Yeah.
We talk, in some areas of the country, homes went up 20%, 30% in those specific territories. And then they never went back down. They just kept going, but at a slower rate. Yeah. And this is more of the same.
Yeah.
So the Fed has an uphill climb to, in my opinion. I think they have headwinds coming into 2025. The wind is definitely not at their back. I think they're going to be fighting the data.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one of the most disappointing and I say discouraging things, and this isn't to be dour, but I think the idea that the amount of pressure on the labor market still has not been enough means that they have to leave enough runway for there to be more pain in the labor market to achieve the outcome they want.
Something they kept bringing up, the labor market has not fully broken.
Yes, not completely
it's very
broken.
strategic. Like when they say broken, not slow. Now they're saying broken. Before it was slow. Slow. And
remember they say softening of the labor market?
And I pay attention to the words that they use because now they're blatantly being open about what's actually what they're actually looking to happen. Before it was kind of like I said, little by little condition you. And now it's like, no, we need it to break.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was like wrenching down on your neck and like a chokehold, like, I'm just trying to soften your neck up. And then you're like, oh, you just come out right before Christmas. You're like, oh, now we haven't broken it yet. Wait, what just changed? You were just trying to massage my neck real tight there. And now you're trying to break it. Okay, Fed, we get it.
Yeah. I mean, on the positive side, this is good news for people that are buying. It usually should bring like scare tactic, right?
Yeah.
But this is the time that you're going to have less competition.
You're so right. The how sucks, but it is true.
So it's there. Now it's the time, So I know even though it sounds like doom and gloom with all these things that are happening, it's like now is the time.
This
Don't
is the
follow
time.
the herd.
This is the time for people who, and we said this last week.
Yeah.
If you're looking to buy a house in 2025, like in the spring or summer, you start now.
Yeah.
So yes, I have to talk. Look, I had to bring it up to say like the whole labor thing because it's still going to potentially happen.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are homeowners and you have your job right now and you're like, hey, I need to get out of some financial distress, use the home to your advantage.
Yeah.
We're going to be coming to a point here where we're talking about home equity. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So call these guys and talk about a HELOC, talk about a cash out, talk about changing your rate or whatever you got to do to cure your financial situation. Yep. You guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Next article here is the Federal Reserve's housing recession dilemma. Wait, what? The Fed again? What the F? Merry Christmas. Housing Wire. So Federal Reserve's housing recession dilemma. Okay, so this has to do with employment and resident. First of all, they've got employment and labor market. You have inflation, you have interest rates, and now you have the construction worker dilemma. So you have existing home sales market that doesn't align with their mandate of ensuring stable PCE and consumer price index.
Yeah.
So they're landlocked, as we like to say. They're kind of gridlocked, and is a better term I would prefer.
Yeah.
So what do you think we need to do for this housing start thing to get kind of unfrozen?
Well, I mean, I put one of these. Despite the challenges, construction has still been remaining stable, so that's a good thing. Obviously, with the rates increasing, that will actually start creating a little more layoffs for. Because we're going to pay more people. It's the cost of these builders to build is going to cost more. So despite all these things, we just need to start building. We need to start figuring out, stop teeter-totting, either just increase the rates where they're supposed to, keep them there for a while so that everything could just gain momentum. Because it just keeps like we just keep going through that roller coaster ride that we've been going through.
So are you kind of like chipping at the surface of this whole like incentivization of the builders as well? Like we have to make it worth their time and worth their money to. Okay.
Exactly.
I think that, and also just pulling back restrictive housing policies where they can't build. Like let them build in certain areas. Yeah. Ease up a little bit of the land. Like let them actually build in areas that you guys didn't want to before. Just like you compromised in other areas. I feel this is a good compromise here to let some of that federal land be opened up for builders to build, and then incentivize them to go and build there so that people can get those get the houses that they need, and then everybody could start. How do I say it? Maybe it could kickstart the start of builders building by easing laws for them to build, giving them land,
making the process a little less strict, right? Like we talked about yesterday. We actually met a project manager on the ADUs that we're building, and we noticed sometimes you think you look at your architectural plans very well, but we see that there was a window that was a 3x4, and then right next to it was a 4x4. You remember that, Brian? And we're like, well, can we reduce that window to be conformed to a 3x4? Since it's a smaller place, do we really need a 4x4 window, right? So a 3x4 should be sufficient. I call the architect. He says, you'll have to discuss it with the actual inspector, city inspector. And they could make you actually redraw your drawings.
No way.
So you have to go back to permitting process. That could take easily 2 to 3 months.
But do you see how complicated that process
Correct.
is? That it's like, I'd rather not even do it. So imagine in a large scale where these builders have to go and ask for this, and they have to go to this office. I'd rather not even build. I'm losing money by trying to go out and basically get this to happen when they don't want to play ball with me.
Because there's carrying costs, right? There's carrying costs. So 2 months of the property not being built, that's, when you're talking the millions, that's a lot of money.
And imagine I have to hold this project or this loan while I'm still trying to get the city to work with me and let me actually break ground.
Exactly.
How do I build?
At the risk of potentially sounding naive, I'm going to say something that I think is applicable for new building that we already see working in the ADU space, which is the city already has pre-approved plans. If you use those, they can fast track your permitting and you can get on with your construction a little quicker and a little more accessibility, right? And it's not necessarily a reduction of the rules. It's just that they've already done all their side of the work to kind of stamp these different floor plans are approved. You want to use one of these, there you go ahead. What I envision is possible is developers that are around the areas. Let's just use our neighborhood as an example, right? There's all these different builders. If they can kind of lift those same floor plans of community ABC and get the right to build over in this other area neighborhood XYZ, and they can use some of those same permits and some of those same floor plans and the layouts of the neighborhood. I think that's going to help us. It doesn't change how quickly they can get built as far as like, first pour of concrete to, final nail, but it may help on the prep side, reduce it from 12 months to get started to 3 or 6 or something.
We got to get a builder in here.
We do. I'm just hypothesizing.
That's really good. Although it might not solve the problem, it gets it started. It gets it moving forward. It opens up the door and invites, change. It invites people to come and say, hey, well, we can, move things around. We want to do this. I think it just invites.
What do we already have in our hands? What do we already have that's been approved, that's acceptable, that's already been signed off, that we can just go and duplicate over there?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm overlooking, or I just don't know what the problems are with that. But it seems on the surface level, given what we do know, it seems like that should be a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, for all the people that work in our government, local government, and government, you would think, they have the manpower to, work quickly. But
yeah.
And they keep citing too that like, mortgage rates are part of this. But I'm getting to a point where I feel like that's like a convenient scapegoat. Mortgage rates are high, we don't want to build. Like, that's only one of the variables.
Dude, I feel like
people need housing.
I feel like it's like when we're in a relationship, the lender just always gets blamed. Just blame it on the banks. Blame it on the lender.
Let me give you an example. So last week I had to go downtown and I was shooting this little construction bit over in this building that's kind of right by where the rail line is downtown. And just east of it, like 2 blocks, there's a massive residential condo complex going up. And I'm looking at maybe 500 to 600 units.
Wow.
So clearly they moved forward however many years prior in order to be at this point now where it's December of 2024 and they're going to be turning over units in 2025.
Yeah.
So whether they're right or wrong, I mean, maybe the tail of the tape will say, but someone made these decisions to go, we're going to build 500 to 600 units right there, and it's going to cost us millions of dollars, and maybe rates aren't even part of that equation for them.
Ah, well.
So
if rates go down, it'll be good equation for them, beneficial.
It will. I mean, it's kind of one of those where I feel like the scales are unequally balanced. They're like, we're going to use rates as the excuse when it's convenient, but we're not going to credit rate reduction for the reason that the sales are good.
No, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Okay. All right, next article, guys. Let's quickly go through this because this is about home equity. Surprise, surprise, not. Home equity is still high, and guess what? It increased in 2025. Sorry, everybody. There was no housing collapse. No. I know
maybe
that
next
is
year.
Really bad news for everybody. We're supposed to be celebrating Christmas, and I guess we're going to celebrate that you were wrong. Sorry, there was no housing collapse. National homeowner equity was up 2.5% overall for the whole United States, and as we know, in some places it was much higher than that, and some it was much lower. There are places that have declined, but the average still went up, and now there is an estimated it went up by $425 billion with a B, which now represents the total net homeowner equity of, drumroll please,
that's crazy,
$17.5 trillion of home equity.
Yep.
How do you cash out?
That's I'd like a loan against the national home equity, please.
Vanguards and the BlackRocks are going after this, right? Make it a renters nation.
Very lucrative.
Can you imagine the government's like, hey, we're just gonna take a cash out on like everyone's house. We don't know. Our $1 trillion of debt has been drastically declined.
Thanks, homeowners.
Overnight. There's so much equity in all our homes.
That's crazy.
So this is, this is from CoreLogic, so we rely on them. I wanted to toss CoreLogic in at the end of the year because I know they're going to have something that's valuable for us. This tips us into 2025, coming off of, I'll say, more momentum. We've seen momentum in a resurgence of refinances. We've seen more momentum and buyers coming off the sidelines like, hey, I want to buy a house. Let's get an application going. And now you see that equity was a benefit of homeownership in 2024 as well.
Absolutely. I love how the, Northeast, they've been cranking. They've been just doing very well.
Isn't that crazy?
And finally the West kind of started seeing, not a decline, but just like a softening.
Yeah, like slowing down, like a leveling off, if you will.
Yeah.
And again, even then, like not massive declines. But we also had seen some of the most rampant increases during the COVID era times when like, oh, hey, this place went up 11% last year. This place went up 13. This one went up 9. Like, dude, year over year, that's crazy. Yeah. And I wanted one special note because of the whole disaster that hit Hawaii. Hawaii had a massive decline as far as overall value, but it had to do with just the destruction. So the reason I brought that up is because sometimes, given the data, sometimes the data has it's going to reflect all those things too. And so sometimes there's like a little bit of an asterisk you kind of need to keep in your mind or keep in your notes. Like, okay, that includes that part as well. So Hawaii is a very expensive area in general. There is a lot of equity out there, but there was a substantial decline as far as total equity because of the loss of the fires. So.
Correct. And when we're talking about this, these losses, a lot of times these fires actually burn down the home.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
So there's nothing really there. So what happens is, the homeowners will sell just the land itself because of it. And that's going to show like a significant decline. But even with that, you saw that they were on the moderate side in comparison to, Arizona.
Well, and the thing is, like, let's say that didn't happen, Hawaii wouldn't even been on this list.
Correct.
It's literally only because of that this happened.
That's
I think that was probably my point up front, was that it's only on this list of areas of decline because of the disaster. Otherwise, it's not on this list at all. Yeah. It's on the other side where the values are holding and they're going up. So I think places to look out for are going to be the places where most people have migrated to, and sellers are trying to sell at that price that's maybe 18 months old or maybe 12 months old. Like they're trying to get that 2023, late 2022 price. That's not going to happen, I don't think. And most of it, I'm noticing, just from my own personal research, I'm noticing there's a big difference between rural and like metro suburb. Metro suburbs are pretty holding. I'm starting to see a lot of price declines in more rural outskirt these bells, guys. Yeah. The more rural outskirt areas where it's like, a 3% price decline, maybe 5%, and it goes to like 8%. And you're like, oh, they really aren't selling. The listing time on the market's a lot longer. Yeah. Suburbs are still turning over pretty healthily.
Oh yeah.
What do you make of that? Anything else on this?
I think what I do see is that sometimes the house goes up for one price because sellers believe, like you said, they could still get the price from like 2 years ago, but slowly the market will let them know what the house is at. And I think, you start seeing the price reductions, or the house just sits on the market longer because people think something's wrong with it, or they just, everything else is a lot lower. I don't want to go for this. So there's a lot more inventory to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And overpriced homes, right? We're starting to see one of the, I don't want to say the highest, but because the norm is like between 34% of a price decrease. We saw this time around, I believe when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, it was like at 39%. But again, that's just because we're so used to home prices going so high that the seller's willing, just put it up there. Let's just see what happens.
That's exactly what they're doing. Like, let's see what we get. We might get your number.
Happens. It might hit. It might not.
And then
I mean, you're just going through one right now, right? And that's actually a fix and flip property. Being sold for $512,
and then we're gonna hopefully get it for $480.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? It's like those have the
that's a huge
those are the
difference.
tendencies of things happening in the real estate market.
And those decisions and that kind of, I'll say, behavior or attitude, that spills into data too, because it goes, oh, look at the percentage of homes that had price declines. Like, well, some of these fools shouldn't have put their house up like that anyways. So there's kind of it's not a lot. I mean, it could be like 1%. My point is that some people do just what you're saying. They toss it out there. And see if we can get $500,000 more than it's worth.
Skews the data. Even though you put it up high, but then you bring it down to the price it should be. Well, there's the price reduction. But in reality, I mean, you're just now going back to what it should have been.
Yeah, because who determines the market price?
The people.
That's
Buyers.
Buyers.
The buyers do. All right, guys, let's close out today. I want to talk about some of your favorite moments from 2024. Yes, this is a little bit off the cuff. I didn't prep you guys for this because I was hoping that they would kind of just like roll off the tongue. Some of the things that stood out to you most. I'll go first because there's a couple of them. Can I start?
Go for it.
Get your mind going.
Go, yeah.
So the first thing is I want to say thank you guys for a wonderful podcast season. So this has been an awesome year of shows, but specifically Friends of Mortgage Heroes was a lot of fun this year.
Yes, it was.
I know we did 25 episodes, and then we're going to come back next year with kind of a new introduction to how that's going to look. But I'm really proud of that work for Friends of Mortgage Heroes. So thank you guys for bringing on great guests. Any of you who have not watched Friends of Mortgage Heroes, we have a whole entire playlist where we talk with our friends in and around real estate that have a variety of jobs and industry experience in other areas and categories that might be helping you beyond your mortgage and real estate that we do. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to bring up the dollar menu. The dollar menu and the price of the torta, memo. I want to commend you for staying so consistent all year long about the dollar menu. About the dollar menu.
It's all about the dollar menu.
And you and Tanya going to get your tortas and how much more expensive they are now. I was at a restaurant the other day, and the quesadilla was $7.99. And I was like,
just for tortilla
it's a tortilla and cheese. You bring it to me on a regular
plate. What
plate.
kind of cheese was it?
$7.99. It was $7.99 cheese.
Imported from Bonds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Monterrey Jack.
Yeah, so, and that was for one of them, not
Jeez.
for two of them. And then the other thing, that was just kind of a fun takeaway. And there's a lot of other situations I can reference here. I'll let you guys go in a second. But, we talk about Brian being so young. Brian just turned 30 this year.
Oh.
So, Brian, you are finally 30. The ante has been upped. The score has changed. You are now entering a new season in your life, and we're going to have much greater expectations of you now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So happy belated birthday, and 2025's got to hold great things for you. But we're going to have to stop referring to you as so young now, because once you got that 3 handle on the front, it's all up from
That's how
there.
it looks now.
Yeah.
It's up.
That's awesome.
So thank you guys.
Yeah, I know. For me, it was this year's just been what a great year, right? We're finishing off next week. It's going to be a new year already, and it's just like one of the things that I keep telling my kids and everybody that I socialize with is, in this world, in these times, you have to become a chameleon. You have to learn to adapt. I'm an old dog, as you guys can see, an old dog that likes to learn new tricks, and I'm very open and just, I want to learn from these young kids. And I'm talking about you, the 30-year-olds, the 20-year-olds. You guys have such great ideas, and your resiliency to this market is just incredible. Like, you guys just continue to adapt, whether it be through TikTok, whatever it may be. But I see the value. I see you sharing this information, like our podcast. We're going to share our ADU build.
Yeah.
We want to inspire people. We want you to know what we know, and I'm kind of gradually getting better and being consistent with that, because I want others to learn through our mistakes. You could avoid them. You just got to watch the right people and surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that Brian's been teaching me is I want to tie my rafts to the larger boat that's going to really take us to the proper destination, So for me, that's just been awesome. And what we've done in the changes is, one, we did the ADU. We started that, like, let's just go. We learned to finance ground up construction this year, which is something before we wouldn't have done. But because of the market change and environment, we're now doing fix and flip loans. We're working with several investors out there. We're just learning new tricks, right? We just kind of have this tool belt that we're just adding new freaking tools to it, which is awesome. And then the biggest one that I really have enjoyed is we have a new home. We partner with Mortgage Capital, right? Like, now we're able to go take this to a nationwide thing. Like, why just keep it in Cali when we can learn the new things, right? And because of that, Andy, one of my transactions that stands out the most is being able to help one of my past clients that I helped get into their home in Poway. He had to move to Turkey. Ended up having a business over there. Wasn't working here for 3 years, but managed his business here. He had a big fallout with one of his investors, so his credit wasn't all the best. But his wife worked for his company, so I found out how to do a new loan for them. Even though they weren't really here in the U.S., they were still filing their taxes, we managed to get them in a home in Pittsburgh. And it stood out for me because I'm like trying to go non-owner, non-this. When you have the right people and the right investors surrounding you, you're paying attention, old dog learning new tricks, right?
Yeah.
I managed to put them in a new home in Pittsburgh with 20% down.
That's amazing.
And it was just a verification of employment. So she happened to work with her husband. It facilitated the whole process. So
that's amazing.
I'm just grateful for the people that now surround me, the company that surrounds us, and that I have you guys.
And big congratulations on the big move. I didn't want to overlook that, but it is probably one of the most substantial moves we'll see moving forward. Is that decision you made this year on your birthday?
On my birthday.
To join eMortgage Capital and expand our reach beyond California into all the other states of the United States. So congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. And hey, Austin, Mr. Austin Tucker from eMortgage and Joe Chalabay, you guys, our boy Cook, they're amazing people. We're in an amazing place with amazing family. So I appreciate all of them.
Everything's looking up for 2025.
Big shout out to my wife, beautiful wife, Tanya. I could not have done that with my solid rock, and that's my support system right there that just takes us. She's so patient with all of that stuff. So I just got to really put that out there and thank you, thank you to her and the family.
And she is 100%. So consistent.
Oh my God.
So consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
So just want to finish off the year with that, and just say, hey, thanks to all our clients, our listeners. I know behind the scenes, you guys may not see all the likes on YouTube, like 3, 4, 5, but behind the scenes, you guys be very surprised how many people are watching, how much interaction we are getting there.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to see the endless amount of hours that people watch.
It's funny how sometimes the screen doesn't show all the things that happen because you can't relate, but it's like when people text or they call or the email, and you're like, oh shoot, you saw that, you heard that. It's like, okay, yeah. So every part of this matters.
And that really makes me jingle. That's why I wanted to wear this today, because that's what makes me jingle.
Not jingle half the way, jingle all the way.
B.
I'll just keep it, short and brief. Will, you honestly hit on a lot of notes that I was gonna speak on, but it was just a huge learning experience, this year, just personally in business, and just surrounding yourself with other people that make you think differently, challenge the way you think, and make you want to, be better. Never look at anybody that's doing better than you in a way of greediness or jealousy, but rather in a way of like, wow, inspiration. How do I move towards that? How do I connect myself towards that? And I think that's the one thing that is what keeps me here at Mortgage Here is that we never just stick to our way. We continuously move and try to find other ways to make ourselves be better. I got into golf a lot this year, and one of the things I learned from the best player in the world was that he's always doing something to get better. And when you're the best player in the world and you still have the mentality to get better, it only tells you, wow, like if those people are doing it, the work is really what takes you to the next level.
Nice.
So I feel that, just overall this year was a huge learning experience, for learning the new financing, which, gets me excited because it's like, you have more control over your file. You can say yes or no to learning new loans, to being able to do more loans because of the new resources that we have, the new support behind us, like all that, was just a huge learning experience. And I'm excited because next year we are not starting from scratch. It's starting from all this experience, and even all the experience from the last 2 years where it was really difficult. One of the things I learned about myself is staying resilient, wanting to quit, coming to you guys and say, I don't want to do this anymore. It's difficult, but at the same time, not knowing what else I would do, and this is the only thing I want to do.
Shut up and go back to your desk.
It's basically it, and it's like how do I say it's letting my frustrations out in words, but at the same time just wanting for you guys to tell me no, shut up and fucking get back to work. And that's what kept me in the game. That at times I don't need nobody to tell me what I want to hear. I need people to tell me what I need to hear, and I honestly appreciate both of you guys. And big shout out to Tanya for for honestly, like I feel so secure when she has her files. Like it makes me feel like, hey, things are gonna get done, and you don't have to know everything in the world, but you do have to care. And that's the one thing that I honestly give her kudos on, that she cares so freaking much, and that makes me so happy because I know my clients are getting taken care of, our team's getting taken care of, and it just that energy translates in everything that we do. So
it pours over.
Well, so Merry Christmas to you guys. Merry Christmas to everyone watching.
Happy
Thank you for
holidays.
joining us for our last show of the year. I wanted to kind of tease a couple things that, I've been working on behind the scenes for these guys and with these guys. So we got a couple new things happening. We're going to have a kind of a new look to Friends of Mortgage Heroes in the new year with some new guests. We're also going to have a revised podcast format. Ooh. So our studio is going through a refresh during the break, so we're going to be down for a week. We'll be back the second week of January. We're going to have a little bit of a new look and a new format. We have also launched right here at the end of the year a frequently asked questions playlist on our channel, and we're going to continue adding to that in 2025, which will also include questions about investing, questions about expanding your real estate portfolio, as well as case studies from ourselves and from our clients who are successfully building a real estate portfolio for themselves. So not just on social media, it'll be here on YouTube as well. We'll have more explanation with details about all that. And I'm very, very excited about all that coming in the new year, guys.
I'm glad that you actually bring that up, because that's where we don't stop, is just going traditional, right? We want to see people grow through their real estate portfolio, and we want to see their ideas flourish.
Yeah. And we've talked about it here, but we haven't done the case studies yet. So we're gonna do the case studies in the new year, but we've talked here on this show about how people even have leveraged their equity to save money monthly by $1,800, $900 a month, or $800 net positive last month. So look, all of these things that are situations we encounter behind the scenes, off camera, that's going to come front and center next year. So we're going to be able to share more with you guys. And now that our expansion can go nationwide, we're going to be able to actually help you with more of those situations due to your great choice.
Yeah. No, so great. Well,
all right.
Here we are.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas to you, Memo. I love you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Brian, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
everybody at home watching
Yes.
this, thank you so much for supporting the Mortgage Heroes all year long. This has been a really fun run for 2024. I'm very excited, honestly excited about 2025. I think things are going to be even better because, as our friend PBD says, the future looks bright.
It sure does. Happy holidays to you
Happy
all.
holidays, everyone.
Thank you guys for a great show.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, send it to someone you know, love, and trust who wants to win in mortgage and real estate. And I'm going to say Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025.
See you next year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
See ya.